So
It's good.
you film it? It's live.
Okay, am I
Yeah, that'd
filming?
probably
Yeah.
be good.
I
Because
can't
the
see what
closer
I'm
you are to
filming,
the
though.
camera, the better people can hear you.
Orientation is locked from this device. Why did you do that again? So you have to do it in vertical?
No, you can.
It says
Let me
lock.
show everybody my shirt.
Oh, no, you've got to, when
will
you
you take
set
my
it up,
Will you take
when
my
you
phone?
set it up, you have to change it before you go live.
No, it's too late now, then, huh?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're doing it this way.
Okay.
And then just, if you want to look at it,
Yeah, that's what I want to
There
do.
you go. Now you
because
turn
that
it
way.
around. was filed in the Southern District of Texas, Corpus Christi Division. That's wrong. I guess I need to fix that. But Corpus Christi Division. And essentially we're making several allegations of fact here that, of course, we believe to be true, and in fact are true. And that is that the city of Aransas Pass, through its various elected and selected elected and selected officials, have conspired to violate the rights of Mr. Followell and others, because since we filed this case, others have come forward to talk to me about not only being witnesses to corruption and tyranny here in Aransas Pass, but also with their own cases. So several things that we're alleging. Of course, this all started simply, it all started very simply with Mr. Followell complaining about certain issues at City Hall. And as a result of him trying to expose some of these issues at City Hall, code enforcement, law enforcement, the fire department all started working together to try and find ways to shut Mr. Followell up. And they did that through code violations, through code enforcement, and various other methods. For example, conducting a warrantless search of his property and obtaining a bogus warrant from a rubber stamping judge that did not contain any probable cause in it whatsoever to go into his building. The next allegation that we make, of course, are cease and desist letters. This is where the city attorney and the mayor ordered Mr. Followell to essentially stop talking about them and stop talking about the fact that Mr. Followell was able to uncover a fabricated will that was signed by Carrie Scruggs. And so she attempted to silence Mr. Followell by getting the attorneys to send him cease and desist orders and threatening him with legal action, which is a direct violation of the Texas Citizens Participation Act. Then we've got the city council meetings where the city council has decided that the only free speech that is authorized in Aransas Pass City Hall is speech that Mayor Ram Gomez and City Manager Gary Edwards approve of. So if they don't approve of it, then they're going to consider it a personal affront or profanity. And those are two quotes because that's what they put in their so-called rules of decorum.
So on that, defamation they say is illegal, but they let Chief Blanchard's mommy go up there and defame me in front of everybody.
Right, it's only illegal if you go against them.
That's correct.
So we've got what's here, what we got is discrimination. It's called content-based discrimination under the law. And that's exactly what the city is engaged in. When Mr. Followell began to speak up even more loudly about what they were doing, the city actually issued a trespass against him for all city property. He was not allowed to go on any city property for no reason other than the fact that he was engaged in constitutionally protected activities under the First Amendment of seeking redress for the grievances.
Well, they didn't want me to go to the library for research for the fight.
And it did. It included the library. It included everything. Parks, City Hall itself,
Sidewalks.
everything. Then there are a few other, of course, city council meetings in which Mr. Followell engaged in the protected speech of profanity, which is protected expressive speech. There are many instances of that in this lawsuit. And then finally, once the lawsuit was filed, we had to amend the lawsuit because 10 days after we filed this and served the defendants in this case, which, by the way, the defendants are the City of Aransas Pass, Mayor Ram Gomez, City Manager Gary Edwards, City Councilwoman Carrie Scruggs, City Fire Chief Eric Kelly, City Police Chief Eric Blanchard.
Okay.
And I think that's all of them, right? Yeah. Those are all the defendants in this case.
As of yet.
As of yet. And so after we had them served with their lawsuit, 10 days later, they came out and charged not only Mr. Followell with a Class A misdemeanor of hindering a government proceeding by disorderly conduct, but his attorney, me, with the exact same thing. Now, in my case, they charged me, the disorderly conduct was reading case law. So the standard in Aransas Pass is that you cannot read the law to the city or they're going to break the law and charge you with breaking the law for retaliatory conduct. So that's the issue here. Now, I haven't sued on my behalf. I'm only suing on Mr. Followell's behalf, but rest assured, I've got 2 years to file and I can wait. I want to make sure that Mr. Followell gets justice before I worry about myself. But they did also charge me with these same bogus retaliatory crimes, and they know that. So we've got several claims of relief, freedom of speech under the First Amendment, unlawful or unreasonable search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment, equal protection under the law under the 14th Amendment, retaliation in violation of 42 U.S.C. 1983, defamation.
Thanks, Mommy.
Malicious prosecution, and then, of course, municipal liability. And again, all of this can be found online, and we are seeking a $5 million judgment because we've tried everything to avoid litigation. I tried emails, I tried coming to city council and educating them, and rather than just doing the right thing and stopping their illegal and unconstitutional conduct, they've doubled down on it. They've tried to silence Mr. Followell, and now they've silenced or tried to silence Mr. Followell in the public square, and now they're trying to silence me as his attorney in the judicial square, in the courts. Because not only has the chief filed these bogus criminal charges against us, but the chief filed a false affidavit to the Texas State Bar against me, trying to get me disbarred. Now the State Bar threw that case out. They threw out his complaint. It was dismissed. But he did attempt to have me disbarred with a bogus, and believe me, it'll come out. It's going to come out. Complaint against me to the bar. So he's done everything he possibly can to shut up Mr. Followell, to shut me up. But Mr. Followell's a fighter. I'm a fighter. And together we're a tag team. So if there are any questions, I will, from the crowd, I don't know, Harvey, you got anything?
They'll pop up at the bottom if people ask questions.
They are, I'm a lover.
Any?
Wait, don't read them out loud.
You covered everything pretty well, CJ.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions for CJ? Put them in the chat.
Yeah.
I got something for you guys. So
Well, and then I'll leave it for Jason if you got any comments.
I do have something.
Everybody wants to hear from you,
So
Jason.
they tried silencing, but they actually went after my job. They actually got me fired. I was a global EH&S director. They got me fired for the criminal trespass of the whole town, and then they also sent then Chief Blanchard's personal YouTube page and his YouTube APD page, where he raided my gym, and they made me look like the bad guy, even though I won that case. Since then, I got a new job. I got hired almost a month ago, but they blocked me from getting a criminal background check and refused to give it to the company. I had to get another attorney who pro bono helped me out, and she's getting that fixed. And then they actually attacked one of my friends last year that worked here in town at one of these big businesses. Carrie Shrugs and Ram's sister-in-law went up to her business and tried to get her fired for speaking out against her. Now, since then, she's been promoted, so she is now a big wig for the company, and she is coming today in about 30 minutes to actually read out what Carrie Shrugs and Ram Gomez's sister-in-law actually did to her, and I'm excited for her to be here. So it's going to be a good council meeting.
And I'll also add, the city right now really needs to look into what is happening here. Those people who are in positions that can make these change, and I'm talking about the rest of the city council, need to understand that as it relates to Mr. Followell, the city has a 0 batting average. A 0 batting average. They've thrown about 15 charges at him. He's beat all 15 of them. They've tried to they've thrown one against me. That one was beat. So actually, I guess they're 0-16 now. And they're about to be 0-18 once we get these 2 criminal charges dealt with.
Yeah.
But how can you continue to employ a police chief who is obviously filing retaliatory charges against people, losing every single time, and then still keep him employed knowing that he's going to cost you a lot of money? It can only happen if this is acceptable to the city, and this is a part of their policies and procedures and practices, and it's endorsed, which is why the city is named as a defendant in this case, because there's been absolutely 0 discipline against the chief and 0 discipline against the city manager for what they're doing. But I think that's also because the mayor, who leads the city, is also a part of the problem. But other members of the city council can do a vote of no confidence. They just won't, because they approve of what's going on here. So that's where we stand, and I look forward to speaking to city council here in about half an hour. Yes, ma'am.
So we have someone who asked, what can people do to help you the most?
Well, do you have a fundraiser?
We do have a fundraiser. I can put it in there. It's actually in a bunch of my descriptions and on the community, but I'll add it to that link. And
You have people all over the world. You have people in Canada, people in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So, but they also need to go stand up in their own towns and do the same thing.
Iowa.
People have seen this all over the world.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this at cost. I'm not charging Mr. Followell for my time. It is a 4-hour one-way trip to come down here. So that means every time I come down here, it's an 8 hours out of my day to defend this case. So obviously, if you want to kind of donate just to help with those expenses,
We'll put them both up.
yeah, I mean,
I'll put them both up.
$.
Here's
CJ.
another one. Is there a backstory posted online for those new to see in the case?
yeah. So I think we kind of went over the backstory, but just really quickly, how did it start? What was the first thing that brought you to the city council's attention?
Sure. So they came on my property, went in behind one of my members and did an inspection on my property without me being on site nor manager on site. And then I found out about it 3 hours later. So they broke into my property. And then when I called them on it, they said they did everybody in town. And I said, that's not right. Who's your boss? Their boss, of course, is Chief Kelly, the fire marshal. I got a hold of him, emailed him, talked to him, and he said he is a patriot and for the Constitution. He'll get back to me in an hour with some discipline. And in 1 hour, he wrote me back and said, my department can do whatever they want, come on your property whenever they want to, because our charter and code say so. And I wrote him back and said, codes do not trump the Constitution. Got mad at him, started going to council meetings, and I guess for about 6 weeks, was really polite, nice, asking them to help me, and instead of helping me, they started taking away more rights. Actually searched my property 4 more times, 2 other times without a warrant, and then you're only supposed to do an inspection every 2 years, by the way, guys. So they did it 5 times in 3 months, and just kept bullying me and harassing me, and that's when they started criminally trespassing me because they got tired of me coming up here, and it's just been a roller coaster ride ever since.
And that's the true mark of a tyrant, is when you're caught doing something wrong, instead of just admitting the mistake, you double down on it. That is the definition of tyranny, and that's what happened with Mr. Followell. They made one mistake. They could have just apologized for it and moved on, but instead they just kept going and going until they found something they could find. But unfortunately, they did it through illegal means. So that's the fruit of the poisonous tree. Can't use it.
Here we are.
And here we are.
And I actually asked them every single council meeting for 6 weeks just to say sorry and I would go away. And not a single council member, fire marshal, fire department, police department ever told me they were sorry.
I got a question.
Yes.
CJ, is that common for the police and the police chief to team up with code enforcement to harass an individual that they don't like?
It's common among tyrannical and corrupt governments.
I've never seen the police intertwined with code
Believe it or
enforcement
not,
like
it's
that.
even happening in my local town. I've got
Really?
another case that's almost exact to what Mr. Followell is going through that I just had my first hearing on. And we're going to beat these charges. Of course, in their case, what's interesting is they've got these 2 charges that they're charging my client with, but instead of just settling for that, every week they keep citing him for the same thing, which is a building. And so every week he's got a new charge of the exact same issue. So by the time we finally went to court, we had 24 charges we had to defend against. It's really 2 charges, but they charged him 12 times. And the reasoning behind that, and I would say my city's even worse than what happened here, is because they know that it's a court of non-record at the municipal level, and in order to appeal, you have to pay twice the bond amount.
Right.
Well, he's up now to $17,000 in potential fine. And if he gets convicted of all of those, he's got to post a $34,000 bond instead of a $576 bond. And that's what they're doing up there. So yes, it is typical in tyrannical and corrupt governments to use code enforcement, law enforcement, and the fire department to violate people's rights.
Here is worse. Here, James Garner, the prosecutor for San Patricio County, the one that told me to break the law, and that's on audio on there too, and he didn't get in trouble. Anyway, side story. He told me I will be charged $500 per citation per day, and it was 2 years later before they got settled out. So mine would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they didn't care.
Yeah. You had a question?
Any more questions?
No, there is one guy that's on here who always says, ask, I don't know, do you have a court date? It says, do you have a court ask?
Not yet.
Not on the,
Where we
okay.
are in the case right now is we're getting ready to move into discovery. That's where we're at right now with Mr. Followell's civil case. All the answers have been filed. I'm looking at a potential response to those answers, and then possibly filing some affidavits so that we can do a motion for a directed verdict and see where we go from there. But right now we're in discovery.
There you go.
All of his criminal charges, except for the most recent one of hindering a government proceeding by disorderly conduct, have all been adjudicated, and we beat them. And we're going to beat these as well.
My 16th case against me will be adjudicated.
Yeah. And we've already got motions filed to suppress the complaints on those cases. All right. Anything else? If not, let's go ahead and get ready for our city council meeting.
And we'll see y'all live in about 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and shut that off. Thank you, sir.
I made it with the comments. Thank you, baby.
I mean, I try to keep up with it. I've never done a live shit like that before. I should do it more often.